Promote a culture of inclusion, supercharge your communication, and unleash the full potential of your teams and leaders with the Inclusive Handbook collection from the Diversity Movement. As part of the collection, I wrote the Inclusive Leadership Handbook with Kurt Merriweather to empower leaders with tools needed to cultivate a culture that fosters creativity, innovation, and employee engagement. Through strategies, exercises, and self-reflection, leaders at all levels can enhance their effectiveness. Learn more at thediversitymovement.com/store. Use code HOL at checkout for 25% of your first order.
DEI budgets are under attack, but the goals haven't changed. Whether you're looking to increase your DEI knowledge, expand your market reach, or gain a competitive advantage in business, we have the solution. TDM Library is your single source for expert-curated DEI resources, strategies, and solutions, all designed to help you transform your workplace culture and be a more effective contributor. For $9.99 per month, you get access to our searchable subscription-based digital library. There, you'll find articles, practical how-to guidebooks, podcasts, award-winning microvideos, and more than 700 Q&As, designed to help DEI practitioners, thought leaders, and executives create a more inclusive workplace. Whether you prefer to listen, watch, or read, we have the resources for you. TDM Library goes beyond the basics to dive deep into topics such as inclusive language, the business case for DEI, talent acquisition, and C-suite engagement. For less than the price of a sandwich, you get access to our library of more than 1,000 pieces of original, expert-curated DEI content. Join today and get your first 30 days free. Get your library card now at tdmlibrary.thediversitymovement.com.
Hey everyone, this is Jason Gillican, executive producer of the DT Podcast and CEO of Earfluence. And before we get the show started, just a quick note. Today's guests are completely raw and unfiltered, so this one's explicit with a capital E. So if you're not into that, or if you have kids around, you might want to skip this one for now. But if you do skip it, you'll miss out because it is really freaking hilarious. All right, with that said, let's get to the DT Podcast with TLS Agency, and they are Cicero Leak, Tristan Turner, and Chuck Stinson.
You can't stop me, nothing's gonna stand in my way. Nothing. I'm gonna fly higher. I'm gonna fly higher.
Well, guys, welcome to the Donald Thompson Podcast, and I'm excited to have Mr. Tristan Turner, Cicero Leak, and Chuck Stinson. And these guys are the TLS group in the representation business in the entertainment space for many years, and more recently have expanded their portfolio to really look at the holistic value proposition for their clients, both in terms of media opportunities, marketing opportunities, all kinds of different things like that, but more specifically are creating opportunities for athletes at HBCUs from underrepresented organizations to make sure that they get high quality representation as they continue to chase their dreams. So gentlemen, thank you guys for spending some time, and I appreciate you guys joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
So to get things started and just jump into the conversation, Cicero, kick us off with why you started out becoming an agent. Take us a little bit on that journey.
Well, it was a few stories, but I'll give you kind of, well, I can say the short version, but I mean, it kind of goes back to when I executive produced a documentary called Welcome to Durham years ago. That was kind of what led me into the entertainment industry. And I remember after it was done, and because I was the one that went out and got the deal for the movie. So as Tristan, I mean, he was like with me every step of the way back then. You know what I'm saying? Like anytime I went out of town, like I'm big on, like we're all big on, like we've known each other for a long time. We're big on sticking together. You know what I'm saying? Like we're big on that. We've known each other since high school, and we always include each other in everything that we do. You know what I'm saying? So, but it came from then. So one of the other producers on the documentary was like, Cicero, you're like that guy on Entourage, Ari Gold. That's what you do. You know what I'm saying? So I watched the TV show and I was like, yeah, I am like that motherfucker. Yeah, I am like that. You know what I'm saying? That is me. You know what I'm saying? So then, it kind of goes back. So Tris was making a transition from finance to a new space. And we kind of got together and was like, let's start an agency. I was like, Tris, I have all these contacts in Hollywood that I've used to try to sell this damn movie. Like, why waste them? You know what I'm saying? Like, because I went everywhere trying to damn sell that damn movie, and like I tried to knock down every door. So I knew everybody, like every network and production company and record label. And, it was just crazy. So it was just like, damn, my fucking Rolodex is pretty awesome right now. You know what I'm saying? I can get anybody on the phone, but I don't have nothing to talk to them about no more. Let's get into representation. So Tristan and I got together and was like, okay, let's start this.
And Tristan, how did you make that decision? Give a little background on your vision of connecting with Cicero, not just as friends, but taking that business journey together.
Well, as they'll tell you, for lack of a better term, I'm kind of like the live wire of the crew. So one of the main reasons why Cicero wanted me around is because if we were somewhere where we needed some energy, I was just naturally going to provide it. And then, that coupled with a big marketing background as well, I've just have been doing marketing before I knew I was doing marketing. Next thing I know, it's like, oh shit, that's what I'm doing. I'm doing marketing. It just really made sense. And, there's an old saying that says you shouldn't work with friends. However, we disagree. You see three of us right here together. Like Cicero said, we've known each other since high school. As long as your friends aren't just like you, it works. And his strengths complement my strengths, and my weaknesses, he fills in the gaps there and vice versa. So it just really makes sense. And it made sense for us to really take things to the next level. So, yeah, we just took it from there. And
no, that's good stuff. Now, who was the first client that you signed?
It was Kid and Play. It was Kid and Play. It was really Play, and then we got Kid after that. You know what I'm saying? Like collectively, because I already knew Play was involved with the documentary. I hired him to direct because he was living in Durham. So I had a relationship with him through that. And then I was just like, okay, well, he's sitting in Durham and everybody knows the hell he is. And so let me try to sign this moment. You know what I'm saying? So he was like, I'm on board. And the next thing you know, he was like, well, Kid wants to, you to work with you as well. So a couple months later, we signed Kid, and then the rest was history.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, you guys were working for a while, and then Chuck, you came on board to do the sports, or you've always been in the picture and we just hadn't met yet? Give me kind of your relationship and as growing the agency.
I think it was kind of answer to that question is kind of both. I've always been around a little bit. I wasn't there in the very beginning when they first, I knew what they were doing, Welcome to Durham, and I was kind of around. We've always been friends, so I knew what was happening with that, but I wasn't intimately involved in any of that part of it. I think what ended up happening, I came home for the Duke Maryland game, and I had copped some tickets, and we just got talking about it, and he was like, this thing's kicking off, it's pushing off. Hey, why don't you come along too? Why don't you find a spot, come along, join us, and do this thing? And so then it was like, I've been always more akin to sports and always loved sports, so it was kind of like, hey, well, maybe I will focus in on that sports side of it.
Got it.
So I was kind of around the beginning, not the very beginning, but then it kind of slowly, it was moving slowly at first, and I just think as of late, the timing was right to really put more into it, put more behind it. I think that's how we got to where we're at right now.
Yeah, that makes sense. I want to stay with the backstory a little bit, but also educate our listeners. And everybody wants to be in entertainment, right? Everybody want to be star, right? But nobody want to hit that grind. What would you say to people that want to be in the entertainment business, be an agent, be on the business side of entertainment, when they're thinking about if they have what it takes to do what you guys do to win in this game? What kind of advice would you give them?
Well, I would say do your research. You know what I'm saying? Know this is what you want to get into, because, it's not an easy thing, and it's not an overnight thing. But the biggest thing with me, Don, and as you well know, with us working together, is that, when you go out here and you're representing someone, you have to do what you say you're going to do. You know what I'm saying? If you make promises to people and say, okay, well, I'm able to do this and we're going to try to do this. Of course, some things in the end don't work out, but if you're going to say, okay, because they're putting their career in your hands, You know what I'm saying? That's very important. Just don't go into this blindly and say, okay, well, I want to represent celebrities, or I want to, really do your research and, read up on, what it takes to make, what people have done in the past to make this. And that's what I did. You know what I'm saying? I brushed up on agents that, came before me, Black agents, and I met with some as well to kind of talk to them and see what they went through over the years and what it took for them to make it as well. So, we did Trish and I did jump into this blindly kind of. It was like, we put our feet to the fire. It was like, shit. But we made a lot of mistakes in the beginning, you know what I'm saying? Because representing celebrities is hard. You know what I'm saying? Like, they really,
They're needy.
Personalities. Yeah, they're needy. Their personalities.
They're needy.
You worried about who listening. Tell the truth.
So you have to kind of adjust to that. You know what I'm saying? You have to, but you have to really do, like I said, you have to do your research. You have to really figure out if this is what you really want to do and go from there.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah, we learned a lot. We learned a lot in that fire. Fire makes a lot of things stronger and it melts other things. It definitely made us stronger. We're definitely, and so it made us stronger. We, like Cicero said, we fucked up, and other things we did great. And we were like, okay, let's take the stuff that we did great, capitalize off that, the stuff that we messed up on. Let's figure out exactly where we went wrong so we don't make those mistakes anymore. And we learned some really great lessons.
Well, give me an example of a lesson that you can share. Some of them might be, like you don't want to create liability if you messed up somebody's contract. But what are some lessons that you could share on the come up?
So thankfully that never happened. One lesson for sure is just being careful, really careful who we deal with. We were working with a promoter with Kid and Play. It was their 20th anniversary, I want to say.
Or
25th?
Yeah, so that was the 20th. Yeah. They were going on. They went on tour.
So we were working with the promoter, and I take this on me for sure. Having worked with promoters, I should have known. Look out for janky promoters, like God. And you talk about a janky promoter, man. Like, he fit the bill up and down, bro. He fit the bill, but we were just so wrapped up in the moment, the possibilities of things that could happen and go on. Now, a lot of good things come out of it. Like, we were able to book Kid and Play for George Lopez, when Lopez Tonight, when he had his nighttime talk show. And we made a ton of connects off that, did some pitches with a few stations and networks off of that as well. But just dealing with that promoter, trying to get everything done with Kid and Play, it was a friggin' nightmare, bro. It was a nightmare.
Yeah, I wish I could go into detail. It was that time we was in LA and we were going to the BET Awards. Man, I just wanted to get on a flight and come bring my ass back to the house.
It was rough.
It was rough. No, it was rough. We was out to we was on the phone to this is at 2, 3 in the morning trying to get stuff situated with this guy. And
we East Coasters. So it's 5 to us. Our eyes were bloodshot red, and we've been drinking too. It was rough. It was rough, So it's okay, we got to really protect our brand, man. We got a name out here. The fella Kid and Play was mad at us, and they had every right.
Nah, they was mad as hell. That was a rough.
Yeah, they had every right. They had.
It was mad. That was mad. I think Chuck remember that.
I remember because y'all called me from out there.
Yeah, I called. Yeah, I had to call. Usually I don't bother Chuck when it comes to stuff outside of what he does directly. But I had to call him on that one. I was like, man, bro.
Oh, man.
I even had to talk to Play that night. That was one of the few times I talked to him.
Man, that was rough.
So as you guys are looking at the landscape in business and entertainment and different things, you guys did make a conscious decision to move into sports, and then specifically HBCU sports. Not that you won't sign people from all across the thing, but you decided on a focus. Talk to us about that thought process, Chuck, and how you made that decision and what you see the future of it.
Yeah, the thought process and how we ended up in that space it came down to what we were seeing in the landscape. I've always been involved with youth sports and sports in general. I've got kids who play, I've got friends who kids play, but when they started getting older and looking at sports in general, you saw less and less opportunities for HBCU students. You saw less and less HBCU students getting drafted or hearing about, hey, they went to an HBCU. But then you also saw from the kids less and less interest to go to an HBCU because of that. I mean, for better or for worse, most of the kids that people were around hold sports in a high regard. They hold academics and sports in a high regard. When it became, hey, that HBCUs were no longer in the conversation just because they weren't viable options, I saw that as a problem. We saw that as a problem for a bunch of different reasons, but we just saw that as an overall problem. Hey, it's no longer a viable option. That coupled with the opportunities being less, and we just thought, hey, for a holistic approach and for it to still be viable, something has to be done. It has to be a stronger focus on making those true options. And that's kind of what led us to not only sports, more specifically to HBCUs.
Yeah, that makes sense. When you guys think about now having an even broader portfolio and working with and representing talent, is that all you do, right? Or are there things you do on the production side, or that give us a breath of just the different things that your agency offers? If somebody that's looking for an agent that's got the talent, that's got maybe a couple of things under their belt, is looking for representation, why the TLS agency? And tell me about the future, and why should they choose you guys?
I mean, we really go hard for our clients, you know what I'm saying? And we really spend a lot of time working with them in detail about what they want to achieve. You know, I won't down talk some of the big agencies or any other agencies, but, you know, some of the things that people run into when they want to get signed by an agent is that, you know, everything's all hunky-dory at first. And then a couple of years later, they never hear from them anymore because either the money's not coming in the way that they wanted to come in, or the relationship just went sour. We have clients that have been on our roster since the beginning. We go hard. Like, one thing our clients know is that now we don't give up. We're trying to make things happen for you, even through the highs and the lows. You know what I'm saying? So just because you were hot then, but you're not as hot as you were now, you know, we're going to get you to that point again and even bigger. We're talking longevity. We're not talking about in the moment.
That's powerful.
Yeah. We're looking for more of a partnership and a relationship.
No, that's powerful. I appreciate that. So one of the things, let's drill down into present day, right? The NCAA has recently passed some new legislation about the likeness of an athlete being able to make money from their own likeness, basically, right? An athlete being able to make money from that. That sounds good. That sounds like progress. That sounds like movement forward. But typically, things are in the detail, right?
Yes.
So what does that mean for young people? What does that rule mean for you in the agency business? Give us some background, give us some perspective of what you guys think and see.
Yeah. You know, the way we see it, the way we're looking at it, it creates a great opportunity. But like anything else, it creates an opportunity where it's still going to be on the student athlete to capitalize on it or to take advantage of it. I think it's like anything else. It's going to be a rule that, hey, creates an opportunity where, you know, it fills the gap for somebody's income, or for the lack of a better word, for them to actually get true value or worth for who they are.
Yep.
But it can turn out to be just a rule in place or another way for them to be taken advantage of if they don't own it, or they don't find people to work with that help them own the situation and actually play it for their benefit.
No, that makes sense. I want to ask a follow-up. I apologize for interrupting you, but I'm going to give you space back in just a second. Does that allow students to have representation now while they're in school? Do they have to make these decisions on their own about how to make money? Because to your point, if you now can make money off your likeness, but you're talking to business people, but you're still a student, you're a young person, how does that work so that you can really strike good deals and be smart with that?
I think that's still a gray area. I think that's really still a gray area because the rule is, it's still new and it hasn't per se been finalized and complete yet. It's supposed to hit and start in 2021. And they've laid out some guide rules on what you can't do, but they haven't per se, I haven't seen where they've addressed how do agents or representation play into that. And that's also where I say that could be like a pro or a con. Like, you're going to have some kids who are savvy. Like, I even think back in the day, you remember play for UNLV, Greg Anthony.
Yep.
When he had his own comic book business and he had his own outside business, he had enough business sense and enough wherewithal to know how to work around the rules to create extra income for himself while he was in college without jeopardizing his NCAA eligibility. And so there's going to be kids out there like that who probably do it on their own. But there's also going to be the masses of kids who are going to be like anything else at big institutions or your big five schools. They're going to have a big following and the right opportunity is going to fall in their lap. It's going to be like, I don't know, say a Gatorade or a Nike willing to fall on them and give them contracts and money. But there's going to be a larger pool of kids where the opportunities are there. They just don't know how to capitalize on it. And so they're going to need a representation to navigate them through that, or to even help manage it while they're still trying to manage school and practice and time on the fields of play. I feel like agents are going to be needed in that space. It's an opportunity for agents to help and build relationships and help kids at the same time. But I don't think the rule has been solidified or clarified enough for me or anybody else to say right now how it's going to work.
Yeah, one of the things I would say, just as we, partner together and think about the future and how to chase ideas, a lot of times that creates a great opportunity to create blueprints for people, right? Like even such things as social media marketing training for young athletes, right? How to monetize your business. And so that may be something we ought to kick it offline and figure out how to take marketing savvy, agent savvy, and create the playbook. And we might not want to put this out on wax. This might just be between.
We've already kind of talked about that, because Chuck's big thing is like, no, bro, we need to be ahead of the curve on this. We can't wait till somebody else, gets in on this, and then we're trying to play catch up. Like, this is the time to stay ahead of it. So no, we've already had those conversations.
No, that makes sense. Cicero, let's change topics, and I'll start with you first and come back. And it's been on my mind and brain, and obviously with you guys also. There's a lot going on in our country from a race standpoint. There's a lot going on as African Americans in general, as African American men in particular, as we think about the relationship between the communities of color and the police, the systemic racism that exists. And I'm certain that you guys have faced that in this industry, right? And so what I want you guys to talk about, two things, and then I'm gonna give you guys the space. Talk about that systemic racism and the challenges you guys have had to overcome and push through in the media and entertainment space, and then widen the lens and talk just a little bit about what you guys are feeling and seeing today, just as African-American men trying to live this life.
Yeah, I mean, of course we all, have to go through it, but in pertaining to the business, the entertainment business, you go through things with people, if they don't know who you are, and then they find out that you're an African-American agent or, you're a representative for a talent. It's weird. I mean, because fortunately, like I said, it hasn't been anything directly that I've had to deal with in this business in regards to that. But, you can feel it. The issues with big agencies that we, may have to talk to or work with. Sometimes you have the issues you will know, they're not taking you seriously. You know what I'm saying? And you have to kind of push through to let them know, no, you need to take me fucking seriously. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if we want to get this done, then I expect you to give me the same level of respect you would give your counterparts, you know what I'm saying, or someone who may not look like me. So that part, you have to deal with all the time. But I'll say this, I mean, and, with Tristan and Chuck and I have known each other for so long, growing up in Durham, you rarely had racism because everybody in Durham was black. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody in power in Durham was black. You know what I'm saying? So it was kind of weird. One thing that I tell people, like, I really didn't deal with growing up, you know what I'm saying, in Durham. I really didn't have to deal with it because it was like it was like Wakanda, you know what I'm saying? It was like the mayor was black, the chief was black, you know what I'm saying? And everybody was from Durham. You know what I'm saying? Everybody knew each other. As time, went by, as you get older, now you see, especially now with social media, more things are coming to light. But I remember when the Rodney King situation happened, it was kind of shocking. Like, okay, this is happening, and seeing that, those police officers would do what they did to him. It was a shocking thing for me to see on TV. I mean, of course, what happened in the past and the civil rights movement and things like that, and what your parents and your grandparents, and their parents went through. But in our generation, coming where we came from, you didn't see that anymore. You only saw it in movies. You only saw it in television. You know what I'm saying? But having to deal with it directly, like, I never heard a white person say the N-word. You know what I'm saying? I never heard that. So, I only, would see and hear about this stuff on television. But as I got older, it started to hit me like, okay, and me moving out of Durham, you know what I'm saying, into a predominantly like white neighborhood, and you know what I'm saying, and dealing with you start to, in dealing with corporate America, and, you start to see, okay, no, some things going on around me that I may not, be privy to, you know what I'm saying? That. And one thing that we were talking about is that, Chuck and I have teenage, sons. It worries me when he goes out to go for a run, what may happen. I'm always like, son, do you have your phone? Make sure you dressing, you look like you're running. You know what I'm saying? Like you're exercising. Don't wear any, you know what I'm saying? Like, unfortunately, I have to say stuff like that. It sounds stupid, but unfortunately, I have to tell him stuff like that just to see, because I feel like I have to protect him in a certain way. You know what I'm saying? To cover some bases, to make sure, okay, this may not happen to him while he's out here trying to exercise in a community that, I pay for, you know what I'm saying? That I pay a lot of money to be in, you know what I'm saying? So what's going on now with the, George Floyd situation and, the other gentleman, it's tragic, man. It's tragic, Don. I just hope and pray that as time goes on that, the next generation, our kids don't have to even deal with, things will change.
Chuck, any thoughts on what's going on in the macro environment?
I think the way I approach it or look at it, for me, being Black or having experienced it or being immersed in it, to me, what's going on now, to me is, I wouldn't say it's more epiphany or an awareness, because to me, it's always been there. It's more, I've been looking at it, especially with my kids and my family, it's more of a, hey, let's analyze it for what it is. I've always had these conversations with them. I've always made them aware of this. I've always been aware of this. So when it comes down to it, it's more of a analyzing the emotional reaction and the understanding of the opportunity that's happening now, and an opportunity to not only educate, but make advancements and actually, I like about word, play it to our advantage to where, hey, to actually affect some real change. I can remember as far back, like Ro was saying, I don't think I've ever experienced anything as harsh as some of the stuff you see on TV. But in a sense, I felt like I've always experienced systemic racism or institutional racism, where it's always been something I've had to navigate, and it's always been something I've had to deal with, and always had to deal with, my kids had to deal with it at an early age. And so we've always had those conversations, but I think now in the current environment, I think it gives us more of a voice and more of a chance to say, hey, I'm not crazy. I am not speaking of things. There's actually real proof put behind it to help illuminate to those who are either blindly or actively participating in it and causing it to happen, take a better look.
Yeah. Tristan?
We literally had this conversation. Like Cicero said, they both have teenage boys. I have a boy as well. He's 9, though. I'm able to look to my brothers here and a few other friends of ours that have teenage and grown sons, and it really gives me a blueprint to understand how to navigate it as my son grows. I have daughters as well. It's just a very interesting and weird landscape right now, but it's only interesting and weird because now it's coming to the forefront. I mean, Don, we've been talking about this stuff forever. I mean, I literally read something this morning that said every generation has their big moment. And this is this generation's big moment. And hopefully we won't have to have many more big moments like this. It's just something really interesting when we have to have those conversations with our son. I had the talk with my son about how to deal with police before I had to talk with him about the birds and the bees. The talk with us is a totally different talk. When I'm around white associates and we say the talk, I got to ask them, what talk are y'all talking about? That's very telling within itself. And so it's just a lot that we're navigating. Now, I'm very hopeful for what we're going through. This is very needed. Everything came to a very good pinnacle at one point, because if it wasn't for COVID-19, I don't know if things would have gotten to the climax that it did. And I'm pretty sure that they wouldn't, because we'd still have so many other distractions. We'd have sports. We'd have restaurants and bars and clubs, new episodes coming out on TV. But as unfortunately, TLS has been hindered by that too, because new shows are slow right now, but I'd rather there be a big social change versus us putting more money in our pockets right now. Hell yeah, we need this income. We need to make some more shit happen financially, but we need way more to happen socially. And like Cicero said, I moved to Durham when I was in high school. And it was just really awesome to see how Black people were in charge of stuff. You know, I was born in the A, but I didn't really live there. Chuck had spent some time in the A in Atlanta before.
I was born in the A.
He was born in the A. Let me get that in there too. But you know, it was still different for me coming to Durham, just seeing all the things that go on there, and being around so many educated Black folks. 13 HBCUs in North Carolina. Mm-hmm. And for us to sit and say that didn't influence our mindset and how we move, we'd be lying. We'd totally be lying. The three of us went to HBCUs.
Where did y'all go to school?
Well, I went to the best HBCU of all, Winston-Salem State University. And Chuck and Cicero did pretty good. Cicero went to North Carolina Central, which my mama went there. She got a couple of degrees from there. And Chuck went to a very, very good school, Morehouse as well. I was accepted to Morehouse. He and I were actually supposed to be roommates.
Hey, you bailed. You bailed.
Crap. I ain't have enough money. So I needed bail. I need somebody to bail me out so I could afford that tuition. Nah, I ain't gonna lie. I would have loved to attend the Morehouse, though. That was literally, it was so crazy. It was the only school that I applied to. Chuck and I had the same recruiter.
I can hear the pride in your voice for your heritage and the HBCUs. What needs to be done so that the historically Black colleges and universities, what advice would you give to those colleges as they continue to work to step their game up from an academic standpoint, from a visibility standpoint, marketing standpoint? Because a lot of very successful, great leaders and PhDs and athletes, but there's still this stigma now that the education is not as good, is not as strong. What can be done to kind of raise that profile?
Yeah, we were actually just talking about that.
Yeah, we were. Yeah.
I think it's like anything else. You got to upsell. You have to upsell yourself. I like the opportunities. And in my opinion, HBCU spend a lot of time apologizing for what they don't have, as opposed to highlighting what we do have.
So I'm going to interrupt you and I'm going to give you the mic back. Spending too much time apologizing for what they don't have versus highlighting what we do have. And I think that is wisdom both in the question that I asked you, but also in success in general, right? Because most people think about what they're lacking versus building a game plan with the tools they have today, with the goals that they want right now. And I think that mentality is what you guys have developed to grow your business. It's the mentality that I've used to make my way in the world. No one's giving me more aces to play with. I've got to win with the cards I've got in the moment that I'm in today. That mindset is what I try to get into my kids, the people that I work with, the partners that I select, is that the world isn't fair because you hope it to be. You got to create fairness, right? The only way you create success and fairness is through winning. And I'll talk about this just for a minute, and then Chuck, I'll give you the mic back, is that one of the things that blesses me is that because I'm in some of the doors now where decisions are made, I can make sure that everyone that I see gets a fair shot.
That's cool.
Therefore, the more doors you're in, the more you can create influence, because you can make sure that this resume that may be of a person of color that somebody would naturally just put over here because the university didn't have the same pedigree, then I'm sitting in the boardroom and saying, you know what, we should probably test the applicants. We should probably get them to write an essay. We should probably get them to do a social media programming plan. We should probably get them to come in and pitch us. So now if you create testing in the application process, now all of a sudden the pedigree in the paper has a little bit less weight. And now the people that get an opportunity to get in the door get a chance to win today. You guys are creating, and this is the phrase that I'm using when you hear it, if you see it on social media, it's a total compliment. It's the new stereotype, right? You guys are the new stereotype. You're talking about being better fathers, not this deadbeat dad stereotype that's on TV. You're talking about what you say to your sons and your daughters and how you raise them, the new stereotype. You're talking about being entrepreneurs and how you guys work together. You decided that all of the things about friends not working together wasn't for you. That was for somebody else, but y'all were going to rock together. And the new stereotype is, how do we think on our own to get the dreams and goals that we have? And so I've got one or two more questions, but I wanted to throw that in because we see each other, but a lot of times I don't get to let y'all know how I appreciate y'all and what you're doing. And then I'm cheering for you, and then other people are cheering for you, because we're so much on our grind. Sometimes I don't get a chance to say, Cicero, man, I'm cheering for you. Tristan, I'm pulling for you. Chuck, I'm pulling for you. And the thing that is really important as we kind of go through this thing, this transformation in the world together, is we all need each other more than we ever have, because this thing is crazy out there right now. And the only way it's going to push through to that winning mentality to really create that transformation is that we lean on each other quickly when we need each other, and we kind of put away the ego that keeps us from asking for help and open up ourselves and say, you know what, can Don help me do that? Can Cicero help me do that? Right? Can George help me do that? So that we stay strong together and keep it pushing. And so, you know, the last thing I wanted you guys to do is just share with our audience anything that's on your mind, whether it's macro event, whether it's something that's going on with your agency that I didn't ask or get to. What didn't I ask you that you would like to talk about?
Well, while we ponder that, Don, I definitely want to say we're cheering for you too, brother.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
You know, Issa Rae made the statement popular. I'm rooting for everybody black. You know, and I'm not going to be apologetic and say, that doesn't mean I'm not rooting for white people.
Exactly.
I'm rooting for everybody black.
Hey, Don, can I share the story how you left with me outside the Staples Center?
We bought them scout tickets.
Yeah, we got those tickets, and you left me outside the Staples Center. My ticket didn't say the same thing as yours. I was mad as hell. Hey, look, so me, Don, and Tuck. So Don knows Tuck too, because Tuck came. Me and Don went in LA for some meetings. We had to meet with Own and Magical Elves or whatever. I'm like, Don, I'm going to meet with my boy Courtney. You know, where's ESPN? We're gonna go catch a Clippers game. So Don was like, okay, cool, I'll go with you. I was like, all right, cool. So we get to the venue and we buy tickets from a scalper. So scalping is not illegal in the state of North Carolina. It's legal, you know what I'm saying? But it is in California. So I didn't know that, you know what I'm saying? But the guy was acting all shady. So I'm like, he was like, come around the corner and buy the tickets. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? I was like, why? You know what I'm saying? Like, in North Carolina, you can do the shit right in front of the venue and then you walk right in. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
The dude was acting all shady and shit. So finally, you know, we get the tickets and we're about to go in. So the guy, he scans Don's ticket, he scans Tuck's ticket, and he scans my ticket. He's like, no, you can't walk in with them. You gotta go to the other gate. Your seat is way up in the rafters. Hey, look, and Don gave me this look like, all right, well, I'll see you later. I was so mad.
Hey, but you supported that black business.
Hey, look,
you know what I'm saying?
But Trish, you know how we do. I was like, okay, I'm gonna fix y'all motherfuckers. I was like, I'm gonna find y'all. And they were, where were you at? In some restaurant?
You're in the VIP restaurant.
In the VIP, yeah. Eating and shit. You know what I'm saying? Watching the game with the feet up, relaxing. And I was like, bro, that was the first time I put my head down and just walked. So somehow I got up there. And I don't know how. It's like somebody helped me. I don't even know how I got up there without having that ticket.
Oh my God!
It's like I put my head down. I was just like, and like I was the head of security of and got up there.
Oh,
and they up there eating and relaxing and you know what I'm saying? They didn't even know each other, and they were just eating and relaxing. They look like old buddies eating and drinking and relaxing while I'm trying to figure out how to get up there.
I'm crying. Okay, wait. One more. So we go to the meeting at OWN, right? And so we go sit in the offices and the client is sitting there. I'm sitting there, Cicero's sitting there. And Oprah's team is late. They're like 20 minutes late. And I'm looking at my watch, and I'm a business guy, right? And I'm a little big shot, right? So I'm like, they're Cicero, what the hell is going on, Cicero? They're 20 minutes late. Cicero looks at me and goes, hey, man, in North Carolina, you matter. We're in LA. He said, we're in LA, and nobody gives a shit about you in LA.
I was like, Don, chill, man. Yeah, like, yeah. It is what it is. Yeah,
Oh my God. I was like, I said, that makes sense. Oh my gosh, man. I haven't forgotten about that, man. Oh my God.
Gotta go.
Oh my gosh.
But
Stories
all right,
for days.
yeah, we had to get. I had to get that story in. I had to get that story in before we got off.
That is crazy. Well, look, guys, I've enjoyed y'all, and definitely make sure that we keep in touch on the real. And if I can be helpful, I need you guys to reach out to me and let me know how I can be helpful.
Now we got you. We're all teammates. Oh. So now we got you.
You can't stop me. Nothing's gonna stand in my way. Nothing. I'm gonna fly higher. I'm gonna fly higher.
This podcast is edited and produced by Earfluence. If you're looking for more information on how full-service podcast production can amplify your voice, build your community, visit earfluence.com. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you soon on the Donald Thompson podcast.